This conference will now be recorded.
Awesome. Awesome. So if you
Yeah.
guys have any questions or anything, of course, just jump right in. Um,
I've got a question.
all right.
I'm looking to get an over 35
Mm-hmm.
and trying, besides the cost, the difference of going from an 80 to a 100. What do I gain or lose on what I can do?
Honestly, maybe a little bit of time cutting thicker stuff. Um, the 80-watt machine technically has a 100-watt power supply in it already, and it's a 90-watt tube. So you're closer to 88 watts on that 80-watt machine at full power anyway. Um, the 100-watt one actually dials down pretty good, like the 80 on the low end. Some of these DC tubes, you got to hold your mouth right when you get on that low end of the ionization threshold. Um, Doing some detailed stuff. I've got an 80 and I can cut 3/4 inch acrylic. If all you're going to do is cut 1/2 inch MDF, die sub blanks, for instance, all day long, and the more of them you make, the better. The 100-watt may be a better, it'll give you a better time ROI on that kind of thing. But it kind of depends on what you're going to be doing, whether you're cut centric or whether you're going to be doing lots of engraving or whatnot.
I would say a little bit of everything. Nothing a lot.
Mhm.
Nothing I got to worry about time wise, but just enough that I want to be able to get the detail and be able to run a lower wattage
Right.
if I need to.
Honestly, if it were me and it was a low volume thing where if it took you an extra 2 minutes to cut up a piece of board, I would probably go for the 80. The other, and Jeremy may have some input on that too.
Yeah, and the other thing is the 80 to get the 100, or on the 35 to get the 100-watt tube, you have the extension, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah,
the
but you got
tube
to
is
worry
actually
about
going
the
to,
stuff anyway.
yeah. Well, I was going to say the tube's going to stick out a little bit more, right? Is another thing to think about. And to Brian's point about speed, right? Is what you can do with more power is you can, even on the thinner stuff, if you have more power, you can push it a little bit faster, right? So even for me on say 1/4 inch, right? I can cut 1/4 inch faster on a 130 than you could on an 80, right? Or 100 versus an 80 because you can move a lot faster and accurately, control it from the motion, but also having the power. Right?
Mhm.
So
Now,
it's really going to
oh,
come down to speed. In
yeah.
terms of the low end stuff, I've not seen. I've got a 130, a 51 130. The low end stuff with even the 2-inch lens, right, is great. I've got a 1.5 lens from American Photonics, and I have the HR lens, the Beam Buddy from Thunder. The amount of detail that it puts down there, I can't notice a difference. So theoretically, yes, a lesser wattage tube can give you a better result in photos and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I can't see well enough, with my eyes, and they're not as good as they used to be, but they're by no means say old, and my eyesight's pretty good, and I can't notice a difference that you're going to be able to see. Right, everything that's come off the laser for me is better than I ever would have expected it to be.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing, now on the engraving though, that's another thing because the Nova 24 will engrave just as fast as Nova 63 130.
yep.
60-watt versus 130. You might get a little more depth, going at a faster speed, but the speed isn't as big of a factor as power relates to it with engraving as it is with cutting. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Okay. When you talk about running a laser at 90%, 90% of the tube or 90% of like the 80 or 90?
Well, it's
So,
technically 90% of the range between 7% and 70% of what the actual output of the power supply is. So it's a little bit of a rabbit hole. At the end of
so,
the day, that's just a metric that we can quantify across the board with the wattages. And, it doesn't really matter if it's at the end of the day, if it's 12 watts or 16 watts, it's just a way for you to keep up with
so,
it. So
and to your point, Jim, right? You don't the way Thunder sets up their machines, you don't have to worry about some of the stuff that you'll see in forums on other machines where, oh, you can't run it greater than 90% because you're going to burn it up, because Thunder has overspec'd the machine to where 100% is within the tolerance of the power supply and the tube. It can constantly run 100%, whereas a lot of the other manufacturers will advertise a 130 watt machine, but it's 130 watt peak, not 130 watt continuous. Thunder's 130 watt is continuous with a 150 watt peak tube in it, right? So it's a little bit different on the marketing, and you'll see that on some of the other manufacturers, where if you go look at, other manufacturers where they advertise a 150 watt machine, it's got a Reese W8 tube in it. That's a 130 continuous with a 150 peak. You're not running 150 continuous without damaging it and shorting the life cycle on it. Whereas Thunder sets it up where the 100 watt that you'll see on that machine is 100 watt delivered continuous without any issues on the life of the machine.
Okay. I'm coming from a basic Glowforge. I don't
There you
want
go.
to,
Congratulations.
and it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, they say it's 40 watts, but if
Mhm.
we're doing apples and oranges compared to the Thunder, is it really 40 or
No,
is it?
it's probably closer to 32, and that's if they're not throttling the power to try to mitigate the temperatures. Because I don't know if you know it, since they have that online software, if your temperature starts going up, they're going to drop your speed and drop your power to compensate, and you won't even
Okay.
know
Yeah.
it.
So you don't damage the machine and then them have another
Right.
broken machine and upset
Um,
customer.
ours are so effective at ablating materials as compared to the Glowforge because of better optics, better tubes, realistic outputs, and the way they're calibrated, that you almost have to make the machine stupid a little bit to make it get that char that a lot of people are after, because it burns away the material so efficiently. Sometimes you have to defocus a little bit to get that contrast you want and stuff like that. So there is no real comparison at all. This is, 100% industrial. It's totally backwards, and opposite of what you're probably
Let,
used to experiencing.
let me say something about what I'm thinking about on venting. My workshop is running off a room air conditioner, or just like a window unit
Mm-hmm.
in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I worry about sucking too much air in from outside. I'm thinking about running the exhaust straight only to the attic, not outside, and sucking it in from outside and trying to cozy up the vents to outside air, being humid outside. Is that going to be a no-no?
I don't know that I'd recommend exhausting that stuff into the attic.
Not at all.
Um, there's probably going to be moisture in it. It's going to be sticky. It could even still have an ember or something. So I don't know that would. Uh, I would probably recommend against that. I would outlet the machine normally, have the exhaust go to daylight, so to speak, and maybe on another wall have an inlet, or however you want to bring some intake air in to compensate for that. That's not really a huge deal for a lot of people because they usually have it in a space that's not so tightly made that they can't get that air just from the ambient,
Well,
surroundings.
I built my workshop with a Glowforge in mind. I got built into the block wall a 4-inch vent to
Hmm.
go out.
Hmm.
Uh, my roof trusses are 2 by 4. I don't think I can get a 6-inch pipe to the outside going to the attic and back down to the sofa. I don't really want to put a big hole in the wall either.
Gotcha. We've had some people run these machines, even the Nova 24s, necking down to a 4-inch, like a dryer vent at the very end, and the results were not always that. A lot of times is not enough to get the flow out of these machines to be able to evacuate the smoke evenly. 6 inch is
Yeah.
usually the minimum that we recommend.
Okay. I got to
Yeah.
figure if there's a
One other thing,
adapter.
Jim. Do
Yeah.
you have any windows in your shop?
Yeah, but well, one's got the air conditioning in, and the other one, I really I don't want to stick out the window.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So rather than just sticking it out the window, I built one of the first projects I did on mine was to cut a piece of acrylic and cut it and fit something rather than just hanging it out the window. So made me like a custom plate that went into the window just like your window unit will, to exhaust it, and with plans on changing it after the fact. And well, a year later, I've still not changed it, and it doesn't look bad on the outside, and then you don't have to worry about cutting holes or anything and modifying your building until you at least figure out what you want to do.
What
Oh,
do most people do for I'm used to like a trap, basically open and close on the vent of the pipe to seal it off from insects, whatever. When you're running a suction shot through, let's say the attic and down the soffit, what's people using to stop the bugs?
Well, I linked this article. The most typical way people vent it is using a traditional vent hood, except it's a 6 inch and it'll typically have either a weighted or a spring
Okay,
loaded damper, and it will automatically close. In cold climates and
that's
other situations, you can also add a
that's what I
blast
got.
gate so that you can open and close it that way. And there is a little section here on roof. This
This
guy
conference will now be
exhausted through his
recorded.
roof. So
Okay,
Somebody's got
I
to
hadn't
go.
looked I hadn't looked into it yet. If there's a option to go from 6 to a rectangular uh, for small walls, AEC people normally can
mhm.
do that, but I'm not sure. I hadn't looked into it yet.
That may be possible. There's all types of configurations. You may want to consult with an HVAC guy because he'll know how air moves real well and that kind of stuff too. At least maybe get an idea, some options.
yeah, and if you got a local sheet metal shop too, they should be able to get you something from a 6 inch to an equivalent in a rectangle. So if it's we'll say a 4 by an 8, right? What you don't want to do is neck it down and create a back pressure on the output, because then you're going to stop your flow being sucking through the fan. And then to that, Brian, something you should add to your article there.
Hmm.
AC Finity makes a 6 inch and an 8 inch like spring loaded little damper for their
Uh,
inline fans.
I did not know that.
I didn't
Oh, okay.
either.
Is it a flapper?
Um,
Is it one that goes in line?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
inline. That's got like a dual flapper, right? So it's got springs in the
Uh-huh.
middle and a rod. And
Gotcha. And
I
two.
ended up
Yeah.
it's like what
buying
you
that
like
for
on
my
an old
6 inch and my eight
carburetor,
inch.
butterfly
Yeah.
valve.
Hmm.
Yep.
Except
I've got
split.
one
Yeah.
on
Yeah. I didn't get them from I got something similar off Amazon, but no, I didn't know that Cloudline actually made them. So yeah, I can definitely add a link to that. I might wait until after we move over to the new system because all of my links are going to break soon. So
mine.
Yeah. Exactly.
But on the subject of bringing Florida air in the shop and like make a ductwork around the case itself to take it, so I don't swap out my interior air. The moisture is going to be a problem or not?
typically not. I mean, I know a lot of people in Florida and Louisiana and Tennessee that run them in an unconditioned garages, and I've stood over my laser when it's 80 degrees outside at 8 o'clock at night in August, dripping sweat, and I haven't had a tube condense yet. I mean, that's something you'll want to watch for,
Yeah.
but we don't get many calls about it.
I tend not to do anything when it's either too hot or too cold.
Right. Right. Well, then your laser will love you because they like to be the same temperature and humidity that we are. So if we're
Yep.
comfortable, they're comfortable.
Yeah, and actually, bigger issue that I've seen, Jim, right? When I first set mine up, before I found that damper, right? I was just I didn't set one on it, right? I had a screen over the outside of the window there, so the bugs weren't an issue. But what was an issue is I live in South Mississippi, so similar climate is you, very hot and humid. And during the summer, when I found this with my shop air conditioned on the inside, enough of that hot, humid air feeding up that overnight, I come in one morning and started seeing some condensation inside the laser, right? Which wasn't bad, right? But fortunately, I noticed that and then had to get my damper solution put in place. But what I did was just with the variable speed fan. When I finished for the night, I left it on the minimum speed and just kept it, exhausting just a slight bit overnight. Kept a positive pressure on it for a couple of days till I got my solution in.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and yeah, I linked that venting article in the comments for your reference if anybody wants to check it out. And there's a little bit of little bit of stuff in there about venting. So, anybody else got anything? There's a lot of people on here today. Feel free to kick that mic open and go for it.
Well, I have a comment about all of this and venting and stuff.
All right.
I'll try again. How's the audio?
Good.
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 Okay, thanks again, Jeremy.
It comes and goes.
And Brian. What?
It comes and goes. All of a sudden, you'll be talking, and then it says this will be recorded again.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. But anyways, I can't believe I have cell service. So we'll go from there. How I vent my machine is I took the hoses that came with it, vented it out, bought a vent, I guess a vent cap, a vent trap, whatever, from Home Depot, Lowe's, and it had the little springy thingies in there, and I didn't want them on there. So I took the spring off, took the little doors off, and I had a piece of wood, like a piece of plywood, and I cut a 6-inch, 8-inch, whatever the hose is. I put that hole in it, put the vent cap in there, and I bought some of the rubber foam stuff that insulates pipes, and I put that on the edges, and so now it gives a good seal in the window. I have the screen up on the window. My windows slide left and right, so it spans from the top and bottom. The wood spans from the top and bottom of the opening of the window. I open it up. I put my little rigged up thing in there. I close the window. I run my laser. When I'm done running the laser, I open up the window. I pull my wood down and the hose and put it in the house. Close the window, and we're done for the day. Merry Christmas. I don't see a problem with it yet. I don't have to worry about the wind and stuff coming back in at night. It works great. I don't have to worry about bugs. And then the house, the whole air volume in the house is enough where I don't think I'm going to have that reverse suction or negative whatever on the house and make pilot lights go out and stuff. So I don't know. I haven't had a problem yet, and I'm open for constructive criticism. Maybe I'm doing it all wrong and going to kill myself one of these days. Not sure.
Let me ask you a question, Sam. It says it looks like you said you got 100 watt. Why did you take the 100 over the 80, and do you regret getting the 100 over the 80?
No. Here's my I don't know what I'm doing, so I just fake it until I make it. I look at it this way. I bought the 100 because the 100 is going to be able to do something that the 80 can't do. And
Okay.
I would rather have the power to be able to do it and not need it than need the power and not have it. And that's just whatever. I don't know if I'm going to trade something off later on as far as picture quality or whatever, but to me, I can always dummy down 100. I can't power up an 80, but I can dummy down the 100. And there again, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, Brian. Go ahead.
No, the 80 and the 100 are so close that the ionization threshold is about the same. The spot size in the near field is the same, about 6 millimeters in diameter. So when you're comparing the 80 to the 100, that's not as drastic of a conversation as if you were comparing the 80 to the 130.
130, yeah.
And that's not to say that any of these DC tubes won't do fine engraving. You just have to dial the higher ones in a little bit more and play with your settings and get it right. But there's guys like Jeremy was saying with the Nova 6130s that are doing photorealistic engraving, surface engraving on acrylics and anodized aluminum and things like that, and having great results. That's always going to be a discussion, I think, because there's some theoretical stuff behind why one may be better over the other. But at the end of the day, a lot of it's just a rabbit hole we just run around in circles in.
Right.
I'm in that hole right now.
Yep.
Buy the
Jim.
100. Just buy the 100. You'll be happy.
I'm sorry. The other reason that I called a bunch of guys that are on the internet that make the YouTube videos that are talking about Thunder Laser. I'm a pretty good stalker. I will track you down, and if I want to talk to you, I will find your phone number. Believe it. And I talked to one of the guys, and he bought a 3580, And I said, if you had to do it all over again, and he goes, I would have went straight ahead from the 100.
Okay.
Yep. I think the only time I wished I had a smaller laser was when I was actually taking it off the pallet and positioning it. Other than that, no, there's times when I wish I had a 4x8 flatbed, right?
Well, from
Right.
understanding,
Right.
the crate is the same size, correct?
Give or
The
take.
what?
The crate that comes in is the same size.
Same
A little
size.
bit bigger.
Oh, yeah, I've got the crate sizes here. I think there is a little bit of a difference.
No, I think the question he asked was the crate, Brian.
Right. Oh,
No, I don't
yeah,
think the
maybe they
crate
are the
size
same.
is any bigger.
They may not
the
be
tool
because you
chest and
still
all
have to
that
have
stuff
room to
fits
put the
under it.
chiller and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll
That's what I was
just fit
told
where the
by
extension
The
is.
footprint inside your house or inside your office will be different.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hey, Brian, this is
But
John.
anyways, I talked to the guy.
Hey, John.
I don't want to interrupt. Let the gentleman finish. I'm sorry. I thought he was done.
No, I was.
Yeah.
That's why I said, go ahead, John. I think I
Okay.
answered the question. I would go with the 100 all over again because the guy
Yeah.
that had a business went with the 100. He would rather have bought the 100 than bought the 80, and he has a full grown business, and he went from the glow forges as well, and he's head over heels in love with his 80, but he wished he would have went to 100. And I'm running this stuff out of my house. I have zero business and just learning it and bumping my head along the way and trying to make it work. So I like the 100. It's good. A little bigger footprint in the office space, but not too much to be concerned with. All right, I'm done. Go, John.
Hey, a quick crime, Brian. I'm putting in the SMC pressure gauge.
Hmm.
Okay, and I got the wiring from them because there's 3 wires on the gauge and you really only need 2 of them. So they gave me their wire diagram. On your unit, there's a red and a black. Which is positive, which is negative?
If you're talking about the lights, or
Yeah,
are
you're
you talking
going.
about that?
I'm going to wire the pressure gauge into the light, to the fluorescent light, like you said to do in your
Hmm.
your blurb on
Yeah, the
what to
connector
do.
may be different now. Used to they had little screw terminals and you could just go in there. They may just plug in now, but whatever the termination is, red is positive on
Okay,
those.
that's what I was wondering because some places are red's positive, and
Yeah.
some places the
Well,
black's positive.
you're right. Some places don't care. And when I worked on two-way radios, there was a company that made called Ranger that made these walkie-talkies for hunters. You could buy them at Walmart. And the
Yep.
red and black wires on the battery were switched on purpose. Positive was black and negative was red. And there was a diode across there, a little 20-cent diode. And when people would go try to hook up an aftermarket battery that they thought they could be cheaper, they would pop the diode because they assumed red was positive, and they'd have to send their radio and they'd charge them $50 to replace that diode.
Yeah, because when I had to call the company to get it, because the thing that comes with the gauge doesn't really tell you how to wire it. So I had to call the company, and the guy was pretty helpful. And there was a sheet, I don't know, and it gives you
Hmm.
the wiring diagram for the different things. And they do have a negative and a plus, and that's why I thought I'd better
Hmm.
ask.
Right, right.
The red is plus
And,
for the light pattern.
and for me,
Correct.
John, if you're wiring it, do you have a multimeter?
Yeah, I do. I could have done that too.
I was going
I
to say,
thought I'd ask.
at the end of the day, I don't. Brian's 100% right on how it should be, right? But if somebody wired it wrong, right, I check everything, right?
Okay,
I
that's fine.
trust
Yeah, but I thought I would
trust
ask.
someone did it right, but I'll measure it, right? Especially if it means I'm burning something up if you get the polarity wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Hey Jim, I threw a link in the chat there for the AC Infinity dampers, Brian, so you can add those two.
Yeah, I
But
saw
one
that.
thing they do list on there too, which might be an option for you, is they've got a 3-way splitter from a 6-inch to dual 4 inches. So you
There you
may be
go.
able to take a 6-inch and just dump 2 4 inches out instead of one.
Yeah. If
And then
I only got 1 4-inch hole.
there you go.
I think I'm gonna have to bust another hole out.
or make that one a little bigger.
Yeah.
No, I'd use that for wire. I run antennas in and out, and I use the holes for different purposes. I got 2
Gotcha.
holes, but to the opposite end of the shop.
Gotcha. All right. Well, if anybody's got anything, like I said, jump right in. This has been pretty good. We're getting more people. I put it back on Facebook. We're hopefully on Facebook events where people can see it again. So try to revive this thing. We got a good crowd today.
Good crowd, yeah.
You need to put the webinar right at the top of the page so you can see it, because I had to hunt for it. I put it in the link and look for it instead of right at the top of the page.
I might be able to do that. Yeah.
It's just a thought. I mean, I had to look for it to find it. If you put it right
I
at the
do
top of the
good
page,
I do good just to make the event.
that's a personal issue now.
Right.
I don't have anything new to talk about, and I really don't want to open the manual. So saving that as a last
Yeah, the
resort.
problem is Travis and Jim aren't here.
Travis and Jim, they usually fill in the holes. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody make anything cool? I've been playing around with the no stitch designs, for leather.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I
nothing
actually
major.
did a whole bunch of glass, a whole bunch
Yeah?
of wedding things for a buddy of mine. Like I said, I
Cool.
don't do things for money usually, but I actually got the rotary out and did a bunch of whiskey glasses and stuff
Very nice.
a while back. So all my lasers are connected back up again. I got a few tests I need to run, and oh wow, that looks great.
Lois, yours don't
That's
count.
cool, Lois.
Yeah, John put something up. Tommy and Louis.
How much?
Louis put something up.
How much of that was done on the CNC and how much on the laser, Lois?
I did it all on the laser because it was faster.
Good job. Yes. Good
I
job.
cut
Love hearing that.
the whole backer piece. He pieced all this together, and then I cut it out with the engraving on it. I cut all the letters and the stars out. I cut him a template to glue the stars back on this. So yeah, 100%. Well, okay. He used the router to cut the keyhole in the
Keyhole.
back.
Yeah. When he figures out how to do that on the laser, let me know.
Yeah.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. You could probably do it if you're laminating stuff, but yeah, probably not natively.
I was gonna say, I did it when I was laminating.
You can totally do it. Yeah.
Lois,
Maybe
we got to get you to come help us.
Maybe embed a little piece of mirror down in there and then have it reflect back up to get that spot that you can't normally hit.
Sure. It's just the right angle though. So
It's
that
just the right angle.
Yeah.
That'd be wild. All right. More awkward silence.
So we did this last night, finished it. Well, it's not finished, but so yeah, that was all done on the CNC, and then I just engraved in this spot and then our logo on the back. But
have you tried a full 3D relief on the laser just to see how it comes out? It's not as smooth and pretty as it is on a CNC, but
no,
it's kind of wild.
I haven't.
It takes surprisingly little skill to do that because I was able to do it.
I guess I'll have to try it sometime. I don't know what else we've done this week. He stepped inside,
I can't
so
see anything that they're displaying. Didn't mean to cut you off. I can't see anything they're displaying.
sorry.
They're keeping it from you, Sam.
It's all the tumblers we don't want him to see.
Well, let's see. I could just pick someone. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I wouldn't let anybody put me on the spot.
Now I understand. You're allowed to see. Okay.
Yeah, your connection probably doesn't support seeing stuff right now, Sam.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I guess it could throttle that video.
Probably so.
So
No, I'm on a cellular device, and whoever's talking is who I see. So if she's talking in the background, I can see what she shows, but right now, Brian, you're on my screen because you were the one to talk last. So
Gotcha. Oh yeah, it switches over to whoever's talking. Yeah.
Well, you can change that to everyone or who's talking or active cameras or whatever up at the middle top of your screen usually.
Yeah, the mobile interface may be different. I've never tried it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't seen what it looks like. I also haven't tried a lot of the public facing stuff that you guys use, like scheduling appointments. I mean, I test them, but a few people have some trouble with our systems, and we're trying to streamline those a little better. The one thing where you have the schedule, the 1 hour, and the schedule, the 30-minute, those widgets were on the same page, and they were actually embedded. Those iframes were embedded 3 times, and I think they were causing the scripts to conflict with one another on that page. So we moved them. There's an extra step now. If you sign up for something, it'll take you to an individual page for the sign up, so that I don't crash those scripts on that page. So hopefully that's all that was wrong. Sometimes somebody would sign up for something and it wouldn't make a remote link, and so there was no way to move forward. So hopefully we got all that squared away right before we move systems again. But that part will stay the same, I think. Discord. Oh, is that your that's the thing for I gotta load that again. I used to use that every once in a while. I've tried Slack and Discord and a couple other things.
I like it better than Slack. I really not a fan of Slack. We used it for work for quite a while, and work moved away from it just because it was just so buggy. You know, I like Discord a lot better.
Yeah, I like Discord because my 10-year-old thought I was really cool when I knew what Discord was. Yeah,
Right?
He's
All
like,
right. Well, like
you use Discord?
yeah,
Yes.
I had to ask about it from my son, so he got me up to speed on it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. The only communication tools I like to use are email because I can associate it with the piping into the support system. That way I don't have to watch 28 different channels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though that's what that stuff is supposed to do. I know Slack, you can integrate all your messaging into one basically, but
Supposed to be
it's
able
kind of
to.
like working in the command line all the time, and I haven't had to do that since Mosaic. So
Right.
unless I'm doing some admin on some Linux, or getting into the print server on Mac, messing with I forgot what it is now. It's been so long since I've been in there.
Terminal.
Cups, it runs the same print system to Cups that Linux does. So there's a back end interface for that. But other than that, I'd rather stay graphical.
Yeah, same.
So I have heard of a few things with Lightburn about the display and the fonts being a little small and that kind of thing. Is anybody seeing anything like that? I saw a couple of things in the
Done a lot
forum.
of that.
I think it's all been going pretty good, as much stuff as they're packing in that thing. It's not been too buggy. So.
I'm having some issues. I just updated Lightburn to the newest one the other day to see if that would help rectify. And this actually bit us in the butt because a customer came to pick up her cutting board, and I'll show you a picture on my phone in a second. The parts of it were flipped, and she's like, no, I wanted it to look like the one at your show. And I'm like, crap. Of course, we weren't here when the person she sent to come pick it up, so our neighbor was dealing with all that, and then we're getting phone calls and stuff while we're trying to pick up supplies.
Oh,
So it's like not just mirroring things, but it's taking things that are like this, doing this, and then flipping the whole thing. I know this is absolutely terrible, and I'm sorry.
Quick,
And it's
Probably seeing it all backwards anyway, but
quick
It's
one.
okay.
Are you using the same machine for the same computer for your boss and your Nova?
yeah.
Is there a
So
different orientation for your boss versus your Nova?
yes, so that was going to be a question for you guys.
Mhm.
That's exactly what it is.
Since I use the Thunder more, can I set the orientation in Lightburn for my Boss to be the same as my Thunder, is that going to cause
No.
problems?
Yeah.
Yes.
The device origin is defined by the hardware. So
Yeah, by the
Boss's
controller.
origin is where it is, and Thunder's is where it is.
Yeah.
Now, so and there's not a real easy way in Lightburn for it to go, oh, differentiate between them and automatically flip the work.
Mhm.
But any artwork that you create while you're using the Boss device is
It's gonna
going to
be
be
that way.
flipped when you bring it into the Thunder. So you gotta have to flip it manually first.
But that's
Yeah.
the thing. It wasn't just, so some things it's fine. It's no big deal. We literally just hit the, the mirror one that does this, and it's fine. This one, when I opened it up, and I opened it in under Boss today when we got home to check it, and it was screwed up even reopening it in under Boss like it was originally done. So there's little dots between some of the letters, and those were misplaced, as well as things being, just moved. So
That might
there's
be a
a
Lightburn
bug.
question. That might be something you'd want to pose to Lightburn and see if there's a mitigation for that, because that
Okay.
sounds like that's
Yeah.
going to be a dealing with the two devices and how they handle one another inside Lightburn.
Yeah, and there was,
Yeah.
extra buggy stuff, not just it flipping things. Because I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, that's fine, it flips things, but then I flip it
Yeah.
back and I'm like, wait, this is wrong.
Yeah,
I
and
know,
that might
and
open
that
up
would
a
make sense.
dialogue. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense with what they updated, because if you look at the things that they updated, one of the things had to do with the multiple machine use and library use, right? Not having it screw up your library when you switched machines now. And I bet that update that made that fix broke this other thing,
Yep.
this causing these
And
other
I
bugs.
only
So
I only use the setting library for the Thunder. I didn't even know about it for the Boss. So I have my notebook with everything in it.
awesome.
Yeah, but how they handle the libraries and stuff may be affecting the settings that you're seeing.
It may.
Because if you think about how the
That's what I meant.
laser works, right, is the laser sends commands to motors. So it's going to say start from the defined starting point, move X, number of revolutions to get you this far in your X direction, your Y direction, right? So if you start from, and that starts from how you draw it in that program where your starting point is, because they have to take that design and turn it into directions, right?
Mhm.
So it says drive straight line this far, go this far, turn left, right? And then, so if you start from the opposite end, all your directions are going to be backwards, right? And
It would be neat if it could see, if you could define a virtual origin for your design and
Yes.
then define one for
Yeah.
each device, so it would automatically figure that
well,
out for you.
so
That would
so
be neat.
here's what you do. Here's what you do.
Indeed, yeah.
Go create a new dummy profile, right? And well, no, because you can do it without defining the origin, though. Can you? So
I
you
think
can have
well, it
you
would
have
still
to
have to,
define.
reference somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Yeah,
would,
because well, even looking at like the fiber where it's dead center, they had to pick a
yeah,
default origin. So they picked front left, which me doing things
flips
from
everything.
CO2, a diode, and a fiber, they all three are different. So
Yeah.
yeah, what I end up doing is stuff that I'm going to use on both of them. Lois, I just save two different files, right? I save this Boss and this Thunder, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, data storage is cheap, right? For an extra file, but yeah, it's kind of a pain, but
Yeah.
that's
And
what I've started to do.
talk about the storage. We've got everything on the iCloud. Well, because of all the horror stories we hear, and for us, it's not a big deal until we don't have internet or something. So we just went and bought a 4 or 5 terabyte drive so that we can start backing everything up
Yeah.
like we should have always done.
Yep.
Yep.
There's little Johnny.
Yep.
I'm late to the
Yeah,
show.
and the other thing that you can do, Lois, if you want kind of the same functionality, right, as the iCloud Drive, but not relying on the internet, is you can do like a local network attached storage. So you can map that onto your network to where your devices can access it, but it's just not in the internet. It's not in the cloud. It's just local.
We got a guy who can help us with that because you're speaking Greek right now.
Yep. Yep. But if you YouTube or Google network attached storage and set it up like a network drive, you can do it. That's how I have mine set up. Is I've got a network
Okay,
hard drive on my local network, and it works without internet.
cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I have a question.
All right.
What'd you do with Tommy? You're muted.
I sent him away. No, he just had to go find an appliance bulb so that because his light bulb just doesn't last very long on drill press because he leaves it on all the time. So he just ran up to the store. Hopefully Dollar General has the right appliance bulb. I don't know. But you weren't on here to see the stuff that we made.
Yeah, I had a customer.
Yeah, we did too earlier.
Dang
So
customers, they ruin everything.
So if
That's
y'all
cool.
let me talk, if Sam can see this, I'll hold it up until he says he saw it. If he's paying attention. You got it?
Got it. Thank you. Got it.
Might have to read it for him.
Yeah.
Easy.
Miss me, Sam.
Sam's the truck driver. He can at least read road signs, right?
Yeah.
Not mirrored. I go too fast.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Travis. He's also late to the show. Damn, see, there's like some kind of weird voodoo thing going on. I show up, he shows up, and it's sort of weird.
I think you had your own
Let's
little
do it
meeting.
together.
It was
That's some
running
more
over
of that
late. Yeah.
Brian and Grant type stuff going on over there.
We just have
Smoke and mirrors.
we just have really good green screens.
You guys are twins, just Back to the Future versions.
Yeah. Well, little Johnny's from Earth 1 and Travis is from Earth 2.
There you
Hey,
go.
how did I get roped into stuff already? I just got on here.
Because we both
So
just
did
got
little
on
Johnny.
here.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
This is
That's
the
what the whole joke
punishment.
was.
That's
I
why I
literally
get
got on.
abused.
I literally got on probably like 45 seconds before you did.
Oh, gee. Well, that makes more sense then.
I thought you guys must have been on the phone with each other or something.
That was yesterday.
Oh, dude, we have been just absolutely swamped up here. It's been nuts.
Good.
Hey, y'all know that project's been sitting on my. Here, I'm over. I'll shut up. If anybody else wants to talk, I would just freaking hijack the thing. I show up.
Well, we're used to that.
We were needing some filler earlier. We got some good combos going, but then we had a lull, and we were like, "Where's little Johnny and Mad Moose?" Because they usually fill up the space for us, so I don't look stupid just sitting here not saying anything.
Well, that project that sat in my shop, that when my desk was turned around, that sat behind me, if anybody noticed it forever, that ended up being that piece there, which I think actually came out amazing from what it started out as. That started out as solid burgundy.
Mm-hmm. Is that a
How
banger in box?
Really?
How come it leans to the left so much?
I didn't build it.
Yeah.
But it actually came out. I was working on that yesterday, and I was like, "Wow, this piece is actually pretty," because it was quite ugly when it got here.
Travis, his right leg's longer than his left.
What?
I said his right leg is longer than his left. That's why it leans to the left a little bit.
From you talking about me having one leg longer than the others from all the years in the heels.
Oh, the heels?
The heels.
Well, if you would wear heels on both feet, it would work a lot better than just wearing one heel.
I didn't say heels. I said heels.
Like standing on a heel. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Hell, Lois probably knows that because Tommy's probably got one leg shorter than the other from down there in Kentucky.
We are not from Kentucky.
Where do you live at?
Well, we
various? Or?
live in Kentucky, but we are
You're
not
from-
from Kentucky.
Yeah, they're from
Well,
Ohio.
we
You
live
got to watch
in-
out for those
yeah.
Ohio guys.
Hey,
Said-
hey.
He said they're not from Kentucky. They weren't even related before they got married.
Exactly.
They were
Sorry
only
if
third
anyone's
cousins.
from Kentucky. Yeah.
They were only third cousins, not first.
See, Brian, aren't you glad we showed up?
Brian's just sitting there going, "What the hell?"
He's like, what just happened?
Show stuff.
Yeah, quick, someone ask a question about a laser.
This
Well,
is
I
coming
can
from
show you something else that we made.
All right.
So this is
Dice
the
rolls.
dice tower that we cut out of rainbow poplar.
I was gonna say, look like
There you go.
poplar. That's some pretty
Cool.
poplar.
I don't know where the dice are. Hold on.
That's a very actually. You don't see that type
You
of
said that
poplar
was
all
what?
often.
Rainbow poplar?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you,
I've never
you won't
heard
see
of
it
it.
up. You won't
All
see
right,
it
I'm
up
gonna
there,
have to hit up my
Travis.
wood supplier. That's cool looking stuff.
Yeah, I think so. So
A lot of that in Tennessee.
Oh, so she didn't kill him. He's still alive. Hey,
yeah,
Tommy.
he's back here.
Really?
No, that's actually you've seen Weekend at Bernie's, right?
Yeah.
That's how he is right now.
He's on a mop handle.
Hey, I gotta keep him around for that paycheck. So
Oh, we know where Tommy stands.
Okay.
The important thing is that he knows where he stands.
yes.
Yes, all of us males do.
Yeah, that's a key to a
Lois-
happy marriage. Yep.
So that
Lois,
rainbow
thanks
poplar, is
for
that
first
quarter
while
inch
you were
or eighth
going.
inch?
He milled it for me. It's 6 mil.
6 mil. Okay, quarter inch.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now,
I
do
do
you guys-
everything in millimeters.
How much of the poplar do you guys get to the purple down there? Do you guys get a lot of the purple?
My supplier has one entire tree that's black. It's black poplar and with the green heartwood. This was a piece that had some purple in it, but
love the
everything
purple.
he's got milled is 5/4, 6/4 right now. But he's still got some 5 or 6/4 rainbow. So it's got pinks and purples and all kinds of neat
Greens,
colors.
yeah.
He built a couple dining room tables out of it, and a buddy
That's
of
the
mine
pretty
got
poplar.
one while he was here.
Hey y'all, this is Judy. I'm new to the group and new to lasering, period.
We're
So I've
sorry.
got-
Judy.
Welcome.
Hi, how are ya? Really basic question. I finally found someone in our area that's offering Baltic birch, and he's got the 5x5s. It's a cabinet maker. They've agreed to, sell me a few sheets here and there. But I was curious, is $75 a sheet reasonable or?
No, absolutely not.
thickness?
Yeah.
Yep.
Five
I'll send you. I'll sell you sheets as many as you want for $75 a piece, and I'll give you free shipping from Alaska.
Well, it depends on the grade too. What grade is
Yeah,
it?
the
Because
grade
just
and the
because you
thickness.
say sheet of Baltic birch, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I'm
And
pretty
Each
stuff's
side has a
2B.
separate grade.
I wouldn't pay that for crap. But here's the thing, when I look online, like some of the groups I've joined trying to find information, and Amazon, for example, they'll sell these nice little itty bitty pieces, and those are 14, 15 bucks.
So-
And
Yeah, so
I-
Amazon,
the
you're going to
more
pay for
homework is
convenience,
more
right?
local. Yeah, I
Ama-
guess.
Where are you located at?
I'm in Rome, Texas. It's like northwest Fort Worth area. In Dallas, near Dallas Fort Worth, but on the Fort Worth side and then northwest.
Yeah, I'm surprised a cabinet
Why?
maker would charge you that much, though. Honestly, that seems like
Well,
highway
so-
robbery.
I probably
Oh,
figured he.
that's insane.
So,
I'm
Don,
not surprised at all. I just got it quoted to me. Now this is from a distributor in Louisville at 26 something a sheet, and it's
Yeah.
triple B, I think is what they said.
Yeah.
So it's
So-
decent. Now
Decent,
their walnut, maple, and things like that at quarter inch are pushing $108 a sheet.
Oh, you know what? I apologize. I didn't mention that. He has half inch. It's
Oh,
not-
that makes a big difference.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a
Huge
Big
difference.
difference.
again,
That's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
most of us are,
that
when we
little
talk
detail
about,
probably helps. Yeah.
yeah, usually when we're talking Baltic birch, we're all talking 1/8" automatically.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So
yeah,
that
no,
being said, so
75,
one thing.
yeah, $75 if it's a 3B or a 2B Baltic birch 5x5. 75 is not bad for a 1/2 inch.
1/2 inch, right?
But what I can tell you, right? So I just bought the last 2 entire bunks from my local distributor. Baltic birch, if it's true Baltic birch, comes from Russia. It's been sanctioned. There's no more coming.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. No, I'm aware of that. I guess
So
there are,
if you want it, you think you might need it, 75 today may not be real comfortable. If it's there in 2 weeks, it might be 100.
That's
I was
true.
surprised that a
That's
cabinet
true.
maker would even come off of his stock. To
Exactly,
be honest
because
with you.
that's going to kill his business when he can't get it and he doesn't have suitable supply
it's
chain
small
replacements.
town. Yeah. And he's willing to, I don't know. We shall see. I haven't been there yet. I just talked to the guy on the phone. Let's hope that they still agree to do that when I show up.
Yeah, and in worst case, I mean, a lot of us, well, I shouldn't say a lot of us, some of us have just heavy stock on that stuff all the time. I don't stock 1/2 inch, but I stock 1/4 inch and I stock 1/8 inch. At any given time, I usually have a couple hundred sheets at 1/8 inch and probably 50 sheets at 1/4 inch. So, you know, worst case scenario, I mean, obviously I'm not going to ship it down in a 5x5, but, you know, we can slice it in half or something like that and then ship it down to you if we need to.
The question I got is, what are you using 1/2 inch for? What is your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts were using that as like a sign backer for, I just do not like the flimsy signs. I don't.
All right. So
Yeah.
if you're looking at signs, so take like a door hanger, a nursery round style sign, right? 1/2 inch in Baltic birch is overkill, right? A 1/4 inch Baltic birch, if you're layering it, is plenty strong enough. Most of the flimsy
Okay.
signs that you're seeing are not Baltic birch, right? They might be
Yeah.
birch plywood, but Baltic birch is cross-banded hardwood of all layers. It's a lot stronger. Right? It's
Yeah,
a
you're
lot
gonna be
stiffer.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be way
and if
slower
you're,
too. It's gonna be way slower for you for production wise too, for cutting purposes
Yeah.
and stuff.
yeah, most of our indoor signs we do out of 1/8 inch because they're multi-layered. And once you get a couple of those layers on there, it's more than stiff enough, and there's no flex in it at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Well, we started out the conversation and he threw out 1/2 inch and we just kind of went with that. And that was my intent, to get up there and see what he had, because he had to phone down and walk to the back, and I wasn't going to have him do that for 4 different sizes. So I'm hoping to just get there and be that inconvenient person who stops by there and never leaves until, you know, you've answered 500 questions.
Right. Good.
What machine did you get, Judy?
Because I didn't want to
Which
go.
model machine did you get?
I got a 63 130.
you go.
All right, so you got the big boy.
Go do the damn thing, do it, go hard and go home.
That's right.
Yeah, and honestly, instead of talking to that cabinet guy, you might get a hold of Texas Wood Supply. They've got multiple locations down there, and they should carry Baltic birch.
Believe me, I hesitated just announcing that to the group because I feel a little stupid. I mean, who goes out there and buys the biggest laser they can find and doesn't know a dang thing about lasers? But
people do it
Half
every
the people in
single day.
Everybody, half the
There's
people in
probably,
here.
I was gonna say half the people in here has probably done it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You wouldn't.
my
We
family.
all
You won't
bought the
regret it.
biggest we could afford. Let's be honest.
I was surprised at how many people go from a Glowforge to a 63 130 and not even blink. I was just like, wow.
I think I asked that question last week. Why did people do that? Because it's sort of shocking.
Yeah, and it happens, and it's wonderful.
I bought myself a Cricut for Christmas, and I played around with the vinyl. I liked it, but I didn't like it, and I said, "There's no way this can be scaled. I mean, this is and something about to mess around and tinker and scale things, and this just wasn't going to work." I went down so rabbit hole, and I ended up with a Thunder Nova. You know, hey.
Don't cut vinyl though.
Huh? Oh no.
Cut vinyl.
Well, you can. You just have to make sure it's the right kind of vinyl.
Yeah.
Say, I cut vinyl all the time. So.
But it's not vinyl. You cut vinyl, not vinyl.
Yeah, imitation vinyl. There. It's the imitation vinyl that's imitation leather. There we go.
Yeah.
Really cheap
I was
stuff.
interested in the college licensing. Like, has anyone on the call gone through that process? And I
I
think it's
started to, and there was one governing body for a lot of those where they're all on this same system, and it was so convoluted. Of course, I don't make anything, and I didn't expect. I was doing this for my daughter when she was in a sorority, but that stuff can be
yeah,
a
I haven't
mess.
even into
So,
it.
so, so every school is different. Every school has different rules, different pricing, different details. I can tell you, I live in South Mississippi, so I looked at Mississippi State, I looked at Alabama. Right, Mississippi
Oh,
State was very favorable, right, to supporting people, right? Their artwork is available on their site. They say, hey, if you go use our artwork, you need to use the correct artwork. Here's the source file, right? Alabama says you want to use our stuff, you're going to pay us a royalty, right?
Right.
That
Right.
they will license you a certain amount for hobby use, right? If you're going to go do tumblers, for example, you can do like up to 50 a year. They'll give you the official NCAA collegiate little hologram stickers to put on them. Anything above that, it is extortionate.
And then you get dealing with the
I met Nick Saban once. My kiddo plays for the University of Minnesota. He was at Michigan for 4 years. He's going to Minnesota for his last year. But we met Nick Saban when he was in high school. We did a little around the South tour of some D1 schools that had offered him. So that was fun. But I'd like to get a license. I've got to look into it. I don't know anything. I've kind of dabbled, but there was so much legalese that I turned off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you
Yeah,
get
it's
away
one
from
if
you get away from this tiny little schools that Jeremy was talking about, and you start talking about like big schools like OSU. Then you're looking at a whole nother level of licensing.
Yeah. The problem is nobody wants to buy that crap because they don't win any football games. But other than that,
Hey.
Well, we had a fraternity that asked us to do their stuff, and when I contacted the corporate office for the fraternity, it was $1,000 a year just to do piddly stuff, like the little paddles and things like that. And then if you wanted to actually do it more and put it in retail stores, and it just got
goes up from there.
They're just as bad as Disney and Jeep and all the rest of them. They want their money.
And then and the other ones that are, we'll say, more difficult to deal with, it's not as much the money, but dealing with is if you actually go through and try to do anything with like the armed forces. Like every one of them, right? The Army, the Navy, they all have different licensing requirements, different offices, and you're dealing with government entities, and there's a lot of, what are you putting our logo on, and it gets to be very difficult.
Even some of your local high schools, some are stricter than others.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to stop the recording for